Recording, recording in progress. Okay, cool. I want to thank everyone for joining our Pig CEO call with Dakota Raider from Golden Eagle Vodka. Um, it is a Friday night, and I value and appreciate everyone's time. But I think it was important for us to do this call um, as we've got some fairly late breaking news. Dakota called me last Saturday with a text saying this was the biggest news in company history. When we spoke Saturday, I was at a board retreat with the Pig Group. And I called him and said, "Are you selling?" And he said, "No, that wouldn't be the biggest news because if I sold now, I wouldn't get a tenth of the value of what is going to happen when we do sell." So what he said is they have created a partnership, and of course Dakota will spend detail talking about it with the largest distributor in the country. So that is a significant move for the company, probably 2, maybe 3 years ahead of where we were supposed to be. So I think that's exciting, and I want Dakota to share that. For those who don't know, Dakota just had his second baby girl 2 days ago, so he's on no sleep. So congratulations on your beautiful daughter. And before I kick it off, I just want to talk about, and this is a vodka call, so I don't want to talk about our other companies, but people ask me a lot, especially over the holidays, what we're looking for in companies. And for me, there's two things: the character of the company, which includes its leadership, and of course, whatever the product is. In this case, the vodka is great. If you haven't tasted it, there's just your money back guarantee. It's the best vodka there is. It just is. Even if you're not a vodka drinker, as a few of people on the call aren't, it's just great. So Dakota had me at hello with the vodka. The second is Dakota and his entire executive team. I met Dakota late 2023. He did a taste test for me at our restaurant, OC Local. And as a vodka snob, once I compared it to all the other vodkas, I loved it. So hooked. I'll buy it. No problem. I wasn't sold yet on Dakota. I hadn't met the team, and I wasn't sure if we could do a deal with them. We were in the process of mid-raise with OC Local, and we had kind of started our raise with Reva Solar. So I didn't know that we had the bandwidth yet. We didn't have the 90-plus investors we have now. I think we were at about 25, so I didn't know that we had the bandwidth to hold it. But the more and more I talked to Dakota, the more and more I liked him. So I invited Dakota to my annual New Year's party, where I had about 100 people over there. And I know it was a tough ask. New Year's Eve, he's got a 1-year-old daughter. But I told him, look, there's a captive audience there if you want to sell your vodka. So he came, and he came with Fig, his chief operating officer. And they went out there and they dressed up. They poured vodka. They were the bartenders / CEO / operators. I mean, it essentially became a Golden Eagle sponsored New Year's party. Speaking of which, I'm wearing Golden Eagle hat. And I'm wearing a shirt you gave me that looks like it should fit you, not me, but I'm wearing it anyway for this call. So after that party, people loved it. There were people at my house. I believe Tim, Sat, Ross, and Aaron, Ryan Schmidt, a lot of investors who are on this call or who are part of the Pig Group. They were at the New Year's party, and we all loved it. So we made a deal. I think it was mid-January that we could raise money for them. And it really ended up being much bigger than anything I thought it'd be. It became our third portfolio company. It's been an amazing ride. I've seen Dakota, who I think is a very gifted salesperson and a bright young man, evolve into just an awesome CEO. A year ago, he made me feel like maybe I was me that was fortunate to be in business with him. And he's not wrong. But now he's been very outspoken about the fact that it is him and his company that's fortunate to be in business with Pig. And Dakota can tell you, but our funding has helped hire his salespeople, which have generated points of distribution, which has helped expand the company, which has helped grow the brand, and get them positioned to the things they're doing now, which he's going to talk about. So I'm an avid fan of the vodka. It's my favorite drink there is. I love the investment for me and for the Pig Group. I consider Dakota a good friend, and I'm very happy to do this journey with him and the Pig family and the Golden Eagle family. So with that, Dakota, I'll shut up, but I want you to talk about the good news and what we're doing. Cool?
I appreciate it. It's a great intro. Yeah, it's been a crazy year. The evolution of where we've been and where we're going, I don't say it lightly when I say it. It is because of the Pig Group. We have raised about $2 million together over the last year. And that $2 million, the money that Pig has brought this organization, is the reason that we just acquired this distribution deal. And that's true. So our initial intention was to raise $5 million by this time last year and be done fundraising. That was the plan, right? And we're going to roll out these markets slowly and steadily as an independent distributor, which is what we've been doing for the last year in California. We distribute independently. We have the warehouse, we've got our salesmen, and we've got our vehicles or our vans. And as we sell cases, we distribute the product ourselves by way of our own sort of logistics team. And we take double margins on every case out the door because we are both the supplier and the distributor. And that's a lucrative process because you can build more revenue faster. What has happened though, we raised $2 million. We didn't raise the 5 million that we intended to raise. And what happens is we took that money and put it to work. And how do we put it to work? We got out there and got after it. So obviously 2024 shareholder sort of memo that I sent out, if everybody had the chance to do that, was a great year as an independent distributor to move the cases that we moved and create the retail partnerships that we did is really unheard of. When we sat down with RNDC over the last couple of months, asking us, hey, where are your accounts? What partnerships do you have? And their reaction genuinely to what we were able to produce as an independent brand was empowering. Is they say that they've never seen an independent brand create as much retail partnership value as we were able to do in the 9 months that we did last year. And we couldn't have done that if it wasn't for the pig capitalization. So what had happened is this early stage capitalization from the pig group at the lowest share price ever, 74 cents, resulted in us putting that money to work and building significant value in California over 2024. That value in conjunction, that value allowed us to attract the distributor in Nevada. Nevada Beverage Group is one of the largest or the largest beer distributor in all of Las Vegas. They're an Anheuser-Busch house. There's only several distributors in Las Vegas, but a huge, very powerful distributor. They reached out to us actually and said, hey, we love what you're doing. We love your product, and we want to get into spirits distribution. So they only distribute beer, but they have access to all of the major retailers and venues and all of the things, restaurants, et cetera, because they're a Busch distributor. They reached out to us and want to get in spirits, and we got in spirits, or they reached out to us. We said, sure, we'll take a gamble on you because unlike Southern Glaciers, the biggest distributor, they have 150 vodkas. This beverage group, Nevada Beverage Group, the distributor in Nevada, they don't have any vodkas. So them looking at us going, holy shit, like, this could be a great opportunity for us. We found it compelling to sort of unite with them in Las Vegas because there's no competitor products. And what we have seen since is their entire sales force is so excited and motivated because they don't have any spirits that they look at us as sort of the golden child. That activity, we were able to open up 50 accounts in Nevada in 60 days, which is a lot, right? Relative to what we were able to do as an independent. Between our value creation in California and Nevada, we have really we've created enough momentum in our distribution footprint that we were able to start having these larger scale dialogues with some of these bigger distributors. So Southern, through relationships, obviously you guys know John Hansen and his alignment with Golden Eagle. He's very, very integrated into the Southern system. Southern Glaciers is the number one largest distributor in the country, in the world, actually. But with them being the largest, they have the biggest portfolio. So they've probably got 100 vodkas from well all the way to luxury and ultra premium, thousands and thousands and thousands of SKUs. So our alignment with Southern wasn't something I was particularly keen on because there's not a lot of room and space for Southern to invest in Golden Eagle as a product, right? They're getting
Dakota.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but you mentioned John Hansen. Not everyone knows John Hansen and what he's done for the company. So
yeah,
please share that.
Yeah. So, John and I became friends about a year ago, actually. It was right around the time Dan and I had met. And I was looking for somebody to become an early stage sales VP, SVP of sales, really the head of the sales department, somebody who is really, really connected in this space, the distributor network. So distributor politics and bureaucracy is just crazy. It is an old school palm greasing, good old boys club of an industry. And I know how the game works from the retail side. I've been in the retail side, hospitality, for 10 years. So I understand our consumer better than the consumer knows themselves. So I was a beverage director at Del Frisco's company with Landry's and et cetera. So I won't get into myself, but I know this half of the industry, which is ultimately where we sell the product to. And there is the middleman called the distributor. And I wanted to identify a talent that is extremely, extremely literate in that space and can help us navigate it to build successful and fruitful partnerships like the one we just established with RNDC. So John, a little bit about him for a brief second, is he was the founding CEO of Clase Azul Tequila. So he founded the importing company Classy Azul, his brother or his sister was dating the nephew of the founder of Classy Azul. And before it was even the beautiful ceramic bottle hand painted that it is, when it came to the US, it was just this little gnome looking thing. The juice was the same, but the brand and the packaging, it was just crazy. And he asked John, hey, do you think there's a market for this? And John said, if we change everything about it, the juice is good. So John started the importing company. The distillery still exists in Mexico. He set up an importing company and had the exclusive importing rights for 18 years. So John started Clase Azul as an independent distributed brand, exactly how Golden Eagle did. So when I met John about a year ago, I said, "Hey, we're operating as an independent distributor, and we find it compelling to enter the market this way because we take double margins on every case out the door." And he kind of laughs because that's an uncommon way to go to market nowadays because it takes a lot of literacy in your client. The distributor knows the retail very, very well. So most people enter the market through the distributor. I didn't do that. I entered the market as an independent because I know the retail exceptionally well because I've been in it for 10 years. So I said, we don't need the distributor to sell cases for us. We will build it ourselves and we will fulfill and we will operate our own logistics. When I said that to John, when we met, he was like, okay, you must know what you're talking about. And we built a pretty great relationship, told him our plan, and I got to know his story. He had literally single-handedly built Clase Azul for 7 years before they got their first distribution deal. They operated for 7 years as an independently distributed brand until they got their first deal with Southern Glaciers in Arizona. And from obviously that point on, over a 10-year run, they built a nationwide distribution footprint with Southern Glaciers, which is why he has a very significant, long lasting, and strong bond with Southern. A lot of the executives and ownership over there, he has great relationships with. But obviously, him, having done what he's done, he's built the plan, built the roadmap, and has executed and succeeded with the Classy Azul brand, which is why he's a great fit for this. Number one, because he's done it. Number two, because he believes in the product, the positioning, and then the strategy behind it with the people. So to take a brief little stint back to this sort of go-to-market plan and why RNDC found what we are doing compelling. Inside of this business plan, I don't know if anybody has really dove into great depths, but there's a page in here called market opportunity that is really, really important for everyone to understand about the Golden Eagle product because it is the reason that RNDC has said we want to align with Golden Eagle and why we find it as great value. So the market opportunity is this from a segment perspective. In 2021, there is a governing body of spirits called the TTB, the Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau. Ultimately, these are the guys that govern all licensing and production and taxation on alcohol and tobacco. In 2021, the TTB redefined the definition of vodka. So vodka historically has legally been required, mandated to be tasteless, odorless, neutral, and without distinctive character by law. So that law and that definition of vodka has created a vodka segment that is all the same and stale. So every vodka you line up, you have to be a pretty sophisticated palate to tell the difference. But every mainstream product, economy, premium, ultra premium, or luxury tastes relatively the exact same. In 2021, the TTB changed that definition of vodka because they want to empower small brands, suppliers, and producers to create more unique and compelling experience, to expand the vodka segment, to grow it bigger. Vodka is the biggest category and 10% compound growth year over year for the last 30 years. Vodka's never tapered. So the TTB redefines vodka in 2021 by removing the statement that vodka has to be tasteless, odorless, and neutral. So everything in the segment today, and do I have screen share power, Dan, or no? Can I do that? Uh, Desktop. Oh, I don't think I
No,
can.
you should.
Oh, serious? It's making me open my system settings and shit. That's stupid. No, it's okay. Well, it looks like we can't unless I back out and come back in, I have to it says you
Well,
have
hold on. It just asked me to that you're requesting it. So let me allow, which I just did. There you go.
Oh, can you see my screen?
Yeah, it's the market opportunity.
Okay, cool. Let me great. weird because I can't see this. I can just see you, Dan. That's okay. As long as you guys can see it, that's all that matters.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so ultimately, when the vodka was redefined in 2021, I had saw this. So I got my master's degree in branding, and my final thesis project was on an idea called Golden Eagle Vodka. And I had stumbled upon in research this designation shift or redefinition of vodka and found it very compelling. So the entire business model of Golden Eagle is built around a vodka product that is naturally more flavorful and character driven, which is why most vodkas that are distilled a bunch of times, we distill it a single time because we want to leave all the natural flavor of the product inside. This was ultimately the product pitch to RNDC. We said everything that you have in your book exists on the neutral spirit side. So if you can see this screen right here, neutral vodka is distilled multiple times and has minimal flavor. The more you distill it, the less flavor in the product. Our approach, given TTB's redefinition of vodka, is to distill it a single time, as it has to preserve a natural flavor in the product. So if you've tried Golden Eagle, obviously you know it has kind of a natural sweetness to it. You can drink it on ice, you can drink it on soda. You don't have to mix it. It's really enjoyable as is. This was the entire pitch to RNDC, basically saying, listen, you're a competitive set. They have Tito's in the well. Tito's is obviously their biggest brand. And from a premium product perspective, they have Chopin and they have Stoli Elite. Southern Glaciers has the rest of the vodka segment in their book. So we knew that it was going to be a hard sell. We could have done a deal with Southern Glaciers. John and I had conversations with them, and they're like very much, their comments very much are, we like you guys, and we know that you're going to run a good business, so we'll bring you into our book because of those facts alone. But RNDC really, really bought in to the fact that we are entering a segment to do something different. When sharing this market opportunity with them, they said, oh, we know about the TTB's redefinition, and we have been looking for some. There are other vodkas trying to approach this segment, but none doing it as good as we're doing it. And they had said this is a perfect complement to our portfolio because we have Tito's that does obviously more volume than any other vodka on the planet. And it is a well economy vodka that can be sold anywhere at any time, but it is a 6 times distilled vodka from corn. All of the other mainstream products that people are pushing that are being sold, Grey Goose, Belvedere, Stoli Elite, Sky, Smirnoff, Blue Ice, Absolute, all these products, they're relatively the same, which is why the vodka segment by volume, these other brands are slowly deteriorating in case volumes because Tito's owns that neutral vodka segment. Golden Eagle, they see RNDC as a perfect complement to what Tito's is doing. They said Southern Glaciers has Grey Goose, and we have nothing to compete with the premium set with Southern. So if we have Tito's, which is a 6 times distilled from corn well vodka, and Southern has Grey Goose, those are the two products that are ultimately everywhere, really. It's Tito's and Grey Goose. There's the well product that Tito's owns, and there's the top shelf. RNDC doesn't have any product in their portfolio to compete for the top shelf case placements at any of their current existing accounts. If Grey Goose holds it, they own it because RNDC sitting there going, well, we're selling hundreds of millions of cases of Tito's. Why are we going to fight for the top shelf placements? They looked at us and said, based on this redefinition of vodka, we completely align with the strategy and see this as a great opportunity for us to bring this in and use it to compete with Grey Goose, and well, not really Grey Goose. It's to compete with Southern for the top shelf segment. So their validation of our product strategy was a very, very, very big deal, but an alignment of it at that. Most people go, Dakota, are you sure it's going to work? This vodka has a really unique taste to it. I said, oh, that's the entire point. The entire strategy is vodka that tastes, not tasteless, not odorless. Everything else is that. It's just another ethanol in a bottle. Golden Eagle is distilled once from dark northern red wheat, very flavorful grain. It's meant to have natural taste and character for folks that like to drink their spirits on ice, neat, et cetera, et cetera. And RNDC got behind that. And that's ultimately, from a product positioning perspective, they said this is a perfect complementary fit for our portfolio. We want to roll this out in these major markets over 2025. So to tie back to John, John has very much alignment with Southern, which is great power, but Southern has too many vodkas in their portfolio for us. There are other distributors that have expressed their alignment with Golden Eagle, Breakthrough, Pacific Edge, Winebow, etc. But those brands or those distributing houses are really regionalized. RNDC is the biggest competitor in the space that can compete, the only really that even it gets close to the same size and magnitude as Southern Glaciers does. So it's a very unique and perfect alignment over at RNDC, which is exciting. So how does this change the strategy, or how does this really evolve the strategy? As Dan said, this is something that we anticipated to happen in 3-4 years, really 3 years, but we didn't anticipate it to happen this fast. The reason it happened as fast as it did, one, because this is a growing segment, character vodka or vodka with natural character, so they see this as something that they would like to invest in. Two, it's people ultimately. So we sat down and they're like, you guys have a better understanding of the spirits market than anybody else. RNDC said this verbatim: we are no longer bringing on brands. Southern can continue to bring on the brands, all of the celebrity brands and the influencer brands, and everybody wants to start an alcohol brand. They said, we don't bring on brands anymore. And Golden Eagle is not a brand. Golden Eagle is a really well-run supplier organization. When I talk to retailers and other distributors in other markets, they say, why should we bring on another vodka? I said, you're not bringing on another vodka. You're adding a supplier partner to your portfolio that is going to build this brand really stably, really well, and in an educated fashion. We don't sell a brand, right? This is not a celebrity endorsed another label on a bottle and crossing our fingers hoping it's going to sell. We know how to take this product to market and take it to market sustainably. And that's the other main reason that RNDC got behind this, is that this is not a brand. Like, you guys have a buttoned up organization and we want to invest in that part, because beyond what happens after this, we're confident in your ability to run this organization. So initially the plan was, we're going to continue as an independent distributor, reinvesting cash flows back into slow and steady market growth. With alignment with a national distributor like RNDC, our ability to enter new markets quickly and impactfully, it 10x's, right? So our ability to achieve market saturation, true saturation, unlocking other opportunities like marketing initiatives and the latter, happens much faster. So, if we, like California, we have 250 retailers out here in California. That number launching in, we're going to launch statewide with RNDC in California. That number is going to go from 250 to 2,000 this year, just based on their access to retail partnerships alone. So they're already servicing every major on-premise or off-premise liquor license in the state. So our ability now to take our marketing dollars and put it behind the distributor to achieve saturation quickly increases our ability to obviously generate revenues faster, but also continue our marketing efforts on the backside of that saturation to maximize shareholder value in the long term. Our goal is to do that as big and wide and dirty as possible. With RNDC subscribing, signing off on Golden Eagle as a project, not just the brand, but us as an organization, with RNDC signing in on that, we are now in a position to attract serious money. And when I say serious money, I mean private equity money, serious dollars. So the plan is to attract a significant amount of capital, $25-30 million, to invest in continued and quick market entry over the next 5 years. What that means with RNDC is we are, and the plan is, as you can see, and let's see, pull up this market, sort of year over year market share roadmap, if you can see this screen. The plan ultimately is to enter new markets way faster than we ever anticipated. So the goal is to get to national scale very, very, very quickly. As an independent distributor, the initiative was let's open 1 to 2 markets a year for the next 5 years. Doing that is great as an independent distributor. Obviously, double margins, and there's a lot of benefits to doing that. It's slow and steady, and we're able to achieve reasonable exit values, because exit values are all determined by revenues or cases, as we would say. So the goal, really, the top line number is cases. That's the magic number. How many cases can you move? As an independent distributor, you are prohibited by the logistics that are obviously in place. And Dennis, I'm sure you're listening to this. We had this conversation early on. The goal with independent distribution was to attract a major distributor so we can get to national scale fast. We didn't think we were going to attract a national distributor for a few years, which ultimately meant that our spending, our market level investments was lower. We didn't have to invest as much into marketing. We didn't have to invest in distributor programming. We didn't have to invest in general widespread marketing initiatives because we weren't achieving saturation as fast. Now, because of the logistics footprint that RNDC has, we're able to achieve saturation and penetrate these markets much, much faster and more impactfully, meaning the more capital that we raise, the more markets we can enter impactfully at the same time, getting us to much greater revenues faster than we would have as a independent distributor. So you're talking, as you can see in this sort of articulation, this roadmap here. This is case volumes increasing by approximately 100% year over year. And these numbers, by the way, when talking to RNDC, they look at this and they go, if you guys have the money, this is conservative. These are very, very conservative numbers. Moving 1 million cases in this industry is really not a lot. When you're talking 250 million cases by Tito's last year, and by the way, RNDC distributes Tito's nationwide. So to express the sort of gravity of RNDC's strength, they moved 250 million cases with Tito's last year. Do you think 500,000 scares them? They're like, okay, yeah, this is, yeah, yeah, we can do this for sure. So these numbers in RNDC's world, they're very, very confident in this. So as you can see, 2025 is a big year for us because we have 2 Canadian markets. The reason those Canadian markets are on there is there's a lot of private equity, both in BC and Alberta, that we have pretty great, relationships and exposure to. So getting in front of and on the awareness radar of a lot of this private equity money out in BC and Alberta is a priority of ours. Not a big lift on those markets. Texas, Arizona, and Illinois are 3 massive markets, and it takes years to get saturation in these markets. But with our alignment with RNDC, we're able to sort of achieve saturation a bit faster because of their logistics footprint. So the priority now, given this early alignment with a national distributor, is jumping to new markets, 3 new markets here, and these are all, of course, subject to change based on RNDC's ask, right? So yes, they have signed off on Golden Eagle from a brand and sort of distribution alignment perspective, but each of these states operate independently. So Florida might say, actually, let's enter in Q3 instead of Q1 because of these variables relative to seasonality and other things. So which states are entered at which time are really predicated on the state level executives. But the picture ultimately doesn't change. And as you can see, the revenues generated from each new markets are the same. The reason they're the same, regardless of the total addressable market in here, for example, how are you generating the same revenue in New York, Dakota, as you would do in Kansas? That's a common question that I get. And the answer is we're putting the same market level investment into these markets, and the total addressable market is so big that you're only able to achieve enough market share based on the investment that you're putting into it. So if we put $500,000 in New York and $500,000 in Kansas, the market cap is here. So it doesn't matter how much we're able to achieve based on its size. You're able to sell as much as you're able to support that product and drive that value. So as you can see, the investment dollars are really driving year over year in each of these new markets, significantly compounding the revenues year over year. previous revenues without a distributor, they don't compound nearly as much, specifically in the latter years as we progress to scale. Because what happens is at year, let's say 2028, all of these 6 markets are now fully profitable, contributing to the bottom line. These markets to the bottom line, these markets to the bottom line. So over these years, as you progress towards years 5 and 6 and 7 and beyond, the business is producing so much cash that you no longer, and really at any time, you can decide, because somebody had asked me the other day, they said, Dakota, are you, this isn't profitable. I don't understand it. This is the why would you run and grow so fast, so big? Because the number that matters is revenue and cases. And the more money we put into opening new markets, the bigger that revenue and case number gets. The bigger that revenue and case numbers get, the bigger the exit on the backside of that. At any time, if we all deem it and the board deems it necessary based on, hey, this company offered us $75 million and everybody doesn't think it's enough. Okay, if they offered us 75 million for the brand and we don't think it's enough, but we don't have enough capital to continue opening new markets, we can really at any time decide to stop investing in new market growth, right? We're still entering markets in 2031. And by the way, there's still 20 more states to enter after that. So that's so much business available and open, but we don't have to continue investing into these new markets if we decide that, you know what, we're good with 50 million in revenue. Let's let growth happen organically. The annual and organic brand growth is really 10, 12.5% year over year. Once you get to maturity, we're trying to drive this thing beyond maturity, get this to national scale as fast as possible. Somebody might come to us in 2029 and say, Dakota, you guys are doing 500,000 cases. Holy shit. How about we invest $50 million into this deal? Okay, well, the share price is $15. The price of the shares that they would inject capital needs to make sense. But every dollar we put in is ultimately going to open new markets. And there's still more markets after these markets articulated in here. Putting dollars behind opening new markets increases case volumes and revenues, ultimately increasing shareholder value. So while it may not be, quote, profitable, the shareholder value is just driving and driving and driving and driving up because of revenue and case volumes. Case volumes is all any supplier company cares about, because that is the indicator that says how strong is the brand. That's all you're buying. When a supplier buys Golden Eagle, they're buying the trademark from us. They're not buying anything else besides we want to hold the trademark and we want to control that business now, because when we're doing 1 million cases 7 years from now, they're looking at us going, oh, 1 million cases? Damn, that's a lot. But we can take that to 100 million cases, to 200 million cases annually. So the growth really is invest dollars into new markets to drive saturation, increase brand value so we can maximize shareholder value and exit. To really give you a picture, this bottom of this screen here showcases brand value based on the current revenue multiples of what we anticipate year over year based on the significant amount of investment dollars that are put into these markets. So money or total case volumes and revenues significantly compound faster than they would alternatively do if we were an independent distributor based on the total distribution footprint that RNDC has. Daco, do you want to speak to any of this at all, or I'm kind of spinning the wheels a little bit if there's anything specific in this deck that you want to highlight?
Well, the only thing I would add to that, Dakota, is that most transactions that we've seen are done at an average multiple of 8 times of revenue. When we did the math here, we think that because there's so much growth potential left for us in the markets that we're not in yet, plus export opportunities that are also not in there, that growth that is still left on the table commands a higher multiple than 8, which is why we've used a multiple of 10. So I just wanted to kind of call it out.
You can see as the annual case volumes continue to increase, Obviously, it's easier in everybody's head to do, I call it LLC math. I own 1% and it's this much of an exit, therefore I get 1% of exit. I've translated the share price values here to sort of articulate how our annual case volumes are tied to revenue, are tied to the assumed revenue multiple that really showcases the total enterprise value, which is the share price that is existing right here. The reason we're leaving the share price at 74 cents for the next 30 days is because we need to fund 2025's market entry and then raise that share price, and we will continue raising the share price so that this initial founding group of individuals gets completely maximized on their contribution, right? So it's kind of interesting, is like those of the early stage investors, I've got a couple uncles and all of the pig family invests at 74 cents, and we get a distribution deal with RNDC early on, and everybody else gets to participate in the value that you funded. You know what I'm saying? That's why we're like, we want to, extend this opportunity within this sort of founding group as much as possible, so we can get to where we need to get to. So I definitely recommend for anybody that hasn't done it, is get into, there's a couple documents. Number one is this business plan deck. Number two is a document called corporate FAQs. This is a document that I produced really to save my time and the time of Dan and everybody else. It is a document that is the top 50 questions that I've ever been asked by investors, potential investors, or current shareholders. And it's really just a breakdown of where we are, where we're going, opportunity, trends, product, brands, sales, distribution, marketing, risks, finances, expansion, opportunities, tax questions, just all kinds of stuff that really paint this narrative of I want to know more and I want to understand more, because when we sit together over a martini, we can get pretty deep into it and everybody's like, man, I had no idea that that's really how it worked. And we did as good of a job as we could to put this document together, which has proven to be really, really valuable.
Will you send me that doc one more time? When I send this video out to all the investors, I'll add the doc one more time if you could.
Totally, absolutely.
I'm getting a couple questions here. Does this RNDC deal eliminate license requirements?
It does, yes, which is really what speeds up the market entry process as we continue to jump to new markets as fast as we are. To get a full distributor's license and supplier license and business license in all of these markets, it takes a long time. It took us actually about a year to get our distributor's license in California. We don't have to do that now. So it's really like a quick 30-day turnaround to get our business license, just license to do business in these states. So all of the states we're entering in 25, licensing and logistics is already done for every market. And we can continue to do that every year. So the first of every year, we know we're going into these 3 markets in 2026. We can bang out the licensing in a week, and have everything staged and ready to go.
What is the distributor's responsibility? Do they promote sales in any way?
Yes, well, the distributor will tell you that we do nothing. All we do is deliver cases. But distributors, and because there's a lot of legal things, and this is a really great question, Juan. And we could probably spend an hour diving into it, and we should. I'll try to do it to answer it the best I can, as short as possible. The distributor's true job is to deliver cases from point A to point B. That's it. They have a big logistics, warehousing and delivery. Over the last 50 years, the distributors have contributed greatly to building out these brands nationally by having internal sales teams that are significant. So RNDC, Southern, they have thousands of employees, and they're a union, by the way. So they've got some union teams and some non-union teams, but they have massive, massive sales forces that are calling on all of these liquor licenses, both on premise and off premise. So they have these sales teams. Those sales teams can be utilized to do what we call distributor programming. So in the business plan, you'll see a significant amount of capital being put into distributor programming. Distributor programming is the above board way to say, incentivize the distributor with dollars to drive sales in whatever way that is. If that's volume, if that's new accounts, if that's percentage growth in retained accounts, if it's chain business, whatever the program is. This is really what John's responsibility is John, myself, and distributors executives will sit down and build programming plans for the year for each of these markets. So in California, we'll put together a 2025 programming plan, which basically says for every new account you open, you get X, almost like a commission, but it's illegal to commission distributor executives because of 3-tier law. So there's this unique way that it all happens, and it's been happening for 50 years, but it's called distributor programming. So to answer the question, do they promote sales in any way? No, but absolutely, which is why we're able to drive massive saturation fast, because we can program them, incentivize them to place these accounts on our behalf, right? $10 a pod, every pod you open, which is a new account, will give you $10. And all of a sudden the next day you've got 100 new accounts in California. And that's really where the muscle of RNDC comes from.
All right. Another one is says getting in the door is awesome, but isn't it all about sell through to stay there?
100%. Depletions matter. But we've a large part of our alignment with RNDC comes from them knowing that we're going to be putting as many bodies in market as we are. So if we had, for example, we're launching in pick a state, California. Hey, we want you to distribute us in California. They're going to say, how many bodies in market? That's their first question. If you say 0 or 1 or 2, they're going to say kick rocks. Unless you're a mature brand, no way we're bringing you on unless you have bodies in market. Inside of the business plan, there's a page called supplier, which is us, market teams, which breaks down the in-market investment from a bodies perspective that we're putting in each market. In California, that's 8 sales reps, 4 account managers, and 4 brand ambassadors. Those account managers and brand ambassadors, their sole job is to manage and drive case depletions and programs in our restaurant partners' walls. So while, yes, you're 100% right, if you put the product in RNDC's portfolio and they saturate a market with it and we don't drive sell-through and depletions, RNDC is going to say this doesn't work. It is our responsibility as a supplier team to put bodies in the market to ensure there's cocktails on menus, that staff is educated, and that we're supporting that market with marketing initiatives such as, general market advertising, digital advertising, in-home, out-of-home events, activations, et cetera. All of those things are the things that drive the depletions once the distributor saturates. So 100%, it's all about sell-through. And the number one sell-through trigger is investments into bodies in market. Buyers at restaurants and liquor stores don't buy products, they buy from people. So if I'm the buyer at fucking Mastro's or whatever the shit, and the distributor comes in and says, take this vodka, they're going to say, why? He's like, it's on program. They'll take it, but they will not continue to take it unless there's a guy like me or our sales team that goes in and says, hey, so nice to meet you. Let me meet your staff, train your staff, educate you on the product, and let's get a cocktail on the menu. Once the cocktail's on, it's selling itself.
I'm guessing the answer is no because of a conflict of interest, but I don't know. Are any of the RNDC leaders potential investors, and would they promote it even harder if they were?
That is not a conflict of interest because unless you are an owner of RNDC or an owner of a restaurant group, for example, if Dan, you owned a majority of a hospitality group that had a liquor license, you couldn't legally invest in a supplier company. Distributors are different. Distributors often invest in supplier organizations, and they do it in between sort of velocity and maturity. So a distributor would align with Golden Eagle. This is years 3, 4, 5, when we're really heating up the case volumes. And we have a prospective acquisition partner, pick one, call it Diageo. Diageo is a bad example because they have their products with Southern. Call it Sazerac. Sazerac has a bunch of products in the RNDC portfolio, and Sazerac's expressed interest to buy Golden Eagle, put it in their portfolio, and Sazerac's with RNDC RNDC would, that's usually when they make significant investments into supplier companies because they know one of their major suppliers is going to buy that organization. Are there any at present? No, they're not. But would they promote it harder? Yes, they would. And can those conversations come up? They will come up. Yeah, for sure.
Do you have a supply chain strategy to scale with the growth forecast?
Yeah. So on both, so in that FAQ document that I'll make sure to send again,
I just got it.
there's questions that address that as well relative to scalability of both the farm, the distillery, bottling, glass. We've got secondary and tertiary suppliers for all of the elements inside of our supply chain that make Golden Eagle what it is. So we're able to support production, specifically with production, right? As we scale RNDC, we will never outgrow an organization of that size. Even the largest supplier companies in the world still don't maximize the distributor's reach. So from a distribution and logistics side, the scalability is built in. And on the supply chain side, we're completely dialed at present. We see potentially in the next, and not within the next, but around 2 to 3 years, we may consider, depending on the amount of capital that we're able to attract from, say, private equity or VCs, purchasing and building a big facility, which would not just be call it a distillery, but really a bottling facility that increases, which I address inside of, by the way, this FAQs. If you look at other profit centers, I've articulated in there what specifically building a facility and under the Golden Eagle organization would do for us: decrease taxes, increased value, our ability to produce for other brands, which then it just gets crazy. I've articulated some of that in there as far as how the supply chains might evolve over time.
So this year, 2025, you're going to go into the 4 states: Texas, Illinois, Arizona, and Canada, right?
Yep, and Canada's 2 markets: Alberta and British Columbia.
Still 1 state, 51st. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're wrapping up the call. The price is changing here in when's it changing?
The inside of the materials, we've articulated a February 28th close. So let me put this on the table. And again, Dan, I've given Dan my word several times that he knows that if, for example, anybody within the Golden Eagle or inside of the pig family commits to an investment, I have given Dan my word that if somebody comes in and closes the round out at 74 cents and the next round at $1, that if anybody has committed through the pig circle, they will, that we will still accept these funds. I am talking to 2 family funds right now, one out of Oregon and one out of Toronto. The Toronto family office has expressed a desire to close this entire thing by January 31st. I had told them back when we said we're lifting the price on Jan 31, this was pre RNDC. I've been in communications with them. I let them know about the RNDC thing. I said, hey, listen, this is the plan. This is what's happening. This is how it impacts our situation. They've seen the materials, talked to them several times. And they said that they'll have an answer for us by latest Wednesday, Thursday next week. And that would be, as so they've articulated to me, a $5 million investment, which would be the remainder of the seed round and an additional $2.5 million to close out all seed funding, which really funds this thing till it's in a position to be financed by private equity, which is extremely exciting. But that being said, as it relates to funds raised through the pig family, I will be sort of holding my end of the bargain that, hey, whatever gets committed before one of these funds says, hey, we'll close it out, I'll hold my word and we will over raise, right? So if we raise 200,000 through the group or 300, whatever it is, Jan, we haven't even talked about this. We raise 500,000 or 400,000, even if we end up over raising, I will honor those investments, even if they come in and say we want to close the round out. So
perfect. And then we'll do what we always do. Obviously, we want the money pretty quickly after we make a contractual agreement, but if you sign the contract before that February 28th and it takes you a week to pay, you're still locked in at this original founders raise. So we'll continue to do that. I think in commitments just this week alone, I think we've got over 150,000 mostly from return pigs who are coming back in, which includes myself, my brother, and quite a few other people from the board. So it's early. It's only been a week. I think when people see this video and see how exciting it is that this is the launch of Golden Eagle 2.0, really,
I mean, this
it's
is
going to be awesome.
this is the launch, man. I mean, we launched in 24 and did a great job in California, but aligning with somebody this much power, this opens the door for what's national expansion, right? This is a big thing.
Somebody asked about ROI and when to expect it. I think the answer is at sale. This is what we're doing. It's an exit strategy sale.
Yep. And again, to sort of reiterate, we want to create maximize shareholder value as fast as possible. So as you can see, as we continue to raise funds and launch these new markets and revenues continue to increase, that's where the business value exists. We can at any time stop investing in new market entry and turn this business profitable on a dime, right? We can go, okay, we're tired of investing all this capital in new markets. We can cut off the new market entry well, say we're not investing in any more markets. We're going to focus, dude, Texas, Illinois, California, these are huge, massive markets that have so much case volume potential that this business will be a cash printing machine. We can turn off the market entry well at any time, turn the business profitable, and then continue then at that point, if that's what everybody decides, listen, we don't want to invest in new markets, start declaring dividends. Our goal in our current business plan and strategy is enter markets as fast as possible, as heavy and massive as possible to get these case volumes as high as we can, revenues as high as we can, so we can achieve the banger, right? Like everybody starts out going, we want $1 billion brand. And that's the rabbit we're chasing today. If and when that changes and we all go, damn, man, we're at 60 million in rev and we're investing X amount a year, let's turn this thing profitable. We can decide to do that. But with how things are looking today, we have no reason to think like that. We keep our gladiator fucking helmets on and it's time to go to war.
Let's go. Love it. Okay. Those are all the questions that I had on the chat and on my text. Does anyone have any comments here quickly as we approach as we are at the 1 hour mark with Dakota? If you don't have any, that's okay. But if you do, speak now, please.
Right on. I'm excited.
Okay.
I'm excited for pig party in June. It's going to turn around fast.
Well, it's not June. I think it's going to be August. And last year was July. It's likely going to be August. We're working on the final details and we're working on some hotels. So would love to. We're excited to have you there. And it's it's a pleasure doing business with you. Congratulations again on your second baby. For anyone who most people are already in. We have 94 pig investors, and I think 73 now are Golden Eagle investors. So for anyone who's in and wants to get in, even for a little bit, if 50 of us all put in 10 grand, that's $500,000. And I know that goes a long way with you guys. And if we can start getting new folks like we did with a couple of folks we got this week, we can really put some damage. But this is our money here on the table, right? We can sell this thing for $50 million in 5 years or sell it for 600 mil in 5 years. And it's all going to be essentially, this is the tipping point right now. Here we're at it and we're all part of it. So it's exciting to be part of this ride.
How you talk to your friends and family, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, everybody, you've invested X, I want you to invest more. Of course, we're basically opening the door saying this is where we're at and this is where things are, and we're leaving your investment decisions to you. I would say relative to investing, there couldn't be a better time to say, hey, friend, hey, family, I invested in this and my money got this business to where it is. And the share price is still the same, by the way. I took the risk. It's still the same price. You can get in, but I took the risk. You didn't. So that to me is the compelling ask. It's not particularly, hey, Nick, hey, Dan, put in more cash. It's the price is the same. You took the heat for your friends. So if you have friends that were on the edge, like what's that guy's name early on says, do they have a distributor? I won't invest unless they have the distributor. We should be talking to that guy, be like, listen, buddy, like I took the risk for you. So now it's time to get in.
Listen, that first 5 or 6 pigs, with some of them on the call here, Nick and Juan and Steve, and again, I don't see pictures, so I just see names. But the first few of us, we took that risk when this was a California-based, which shitty state when it comes to business and other things. So we took a risk on a California-based vodka that was a no name, hadn't had its 97 rated, and wasn't #1 vodka in the world. I mean, this was literally Dan Nieto tasted it, thought it was good.
99
Hey,
now. 99 now.
99 rated. Can my buddies please go in this with me? That is risky. The guys or gals who are getting in a week before the raise closes have taken no risk and are going to get into the same as much as us. Normally, that would piss me off. But because it's part of my value and it's because it's going to help the equity of my value, I'm good. Right. But it's kind of like we have this bare house here, and Nick and I are plowing the weeds and doing all this work. And some guy comes in and says, cool, I want a piece of this house for the same price of what you guys did without the labor. We'd be pissed. In this case, it's all love. It's all love. Whether you came in week 1, which would have been the first week of January 15th. I remember writing the contracts that Monday night of the national championship. I was here with my wife writing contracts. And here we are a year later, because the championship was just Monday, Inauguration Day. Here we are a year later, and we've done some awesome things. So again, I'm also not asking the existing pigs to bring in money. I'm asking them to refer people, to get more people in it. And if you happen to want to put some more money in, I'm doing it myself, and a few others are as well. If not, it's all good. All good. We've got a lot of money in a lot of different places. I just think this is the golden child and the golden eagle. Hey, one last question, because James Bartlett and I are the only ones really from this call or from this group that were there. I was in a limo van with you 3 weeks ago in California, and you had this new product. It was this mixer, and it was awesome. When is that going to come out? It's basically like he made a homegrown mixer that he's going to sell. It's not in glass, so it's much cheaper to make. It's plastic, and you put that with Golden Eagle. It's honestly the best stuff I've ever tasted. So where are we with that? Because you said it'd be pretty quick.
That's so funny. Our focus right now is funding this motherfucker.
That's great. That's great. When's the mixer coming out?
I will not make promises, but we intend to roll it out within the next several years. How's that?
You must have drank too much that day, because you said a couple weeks. All right.
I'm saying it is totally possible. When we, honest to God, this is a true answer. When we would do that, we are contemplating again, and I'm saying this that as if the call is done recording and we're just on the after hours call now. I'm going to share a comments and some thoughts.
Hold on, let me actually stop the recording, because I don't know what you're about to say. So hold on.
Okay.